What is up? What is up, people? What is up, people? This is Abraham Walker with Ask A Walker, your Northern Virginia real estate agent, joined here by my co-host,
Crystal Walker.
and we go live twice a day at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Thursday. This is the morning show. The way the show works, we have some prepared content that we're going to walk you all through, and we'll answer any questions that you may have about buying a home, selling a home, investing in real estate as we go along, right? So
Absolutely. So we have one question for buyers from the 100 questions every first-time home buyer should ask. And then we follow that up with one of the questions from 100 question every home seller should ask. But before we jump into that, we're going to share with you guys some market details. Today, we're focusing on the January numbers for Fairfax County.
excellent. So before we begin, I just want to let you all know there is a link in the description to the Perfect Home Questionnaire. Fill out that form, and we will schedule a time to meet online via Zoom. On that session, we talk about buying homes, selling homes, and investing in real estate. So whatever your needs are, we cover. If you're on TikTok, the link for that Perfect Home Questionnaire is in the bio.
It sure is.
Excellent. We need to get some background music. I like background music.
You do enjoy a little music.
I do. Let's just get that keyed up.
Okay, very good. Well, while Abraham gets that set up, if you have any questions for us today, go ahead and write those down in the comments. We will address them in between each section. We take a break to answer any questions and respond to comments. So if you have anything you want to talk about that's real estate related, let us know.
There we go. We got our
Good.
music now.
Very good.
Perfect. Okay, so let's get into the numbers. We're going to cover the Fairfax County numbers. Oh, you know what? I think, hold on. Okay, I know where we're at. Boo, 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 boo.
Okay, so we're going to talk about the numbers and the trends that we're seeing. We've gone over the numbers in Northern Virginia as a whole on Monday of this week. And so throughout this week, we're going to break down the other parts of Fairfax County, really just the three areas that make up the most sales in the area. So Fairfax County makes up the lion's share of all transactions in Northern Virginia. And for our purposes, what we consider Northern Virginia is going to be Fairfax County, Arlington County, the city of Alexandria, Loudoun County, Prince William County, and Stafford. And the three most popular areas are going to be Fairfax County, Loudoun, and Prince William. So throughout the rest of the week, we're going to break down the numbers for each of those three counties so you can see what's happening in the market so far this year.
All right, so like Crystal mentioned, Fairfax County is the county we're focusing on today, and the reason why we're starting with it first is because there's 40% of all transactions occur in Fairfax County in the month of January, and you're going to see this higher percentage of sales throughout the rest of the season, just because Fairfax County is not only one of the largest counties, but it is one of the more fully developed counties because it is right next to Arlington and city of Alexandria, which means that it would have just been developed first before you get to Loudoun, Prince William County, and such. All right, so the 5 numbers that we're going to look at are closed sales, average sales price, average days on market, percentage of units selling over asking, and average price over asking. Number 4, number 5 are a little unique to our channel. Number 4, percentage of units selling over asking price, is a number that we started looking at 2 years ago when we noticed that most of the properties are selling above the asking price. Since they're selling above the asking price, you want to have a strategy for how you're going to win a property in the event that it is a competitive offer situation. You don't want to find that you're in a competitive offer situation when you're submitting your offer. Like, you want to have like an idea of, okay, great, this is going to be competitive, so this is what this number is going to tell us. And then the last number, average price over asking, is how much money are people spending above the asking price on average. This is again going to help you with your strategy as far as like, if you are going to bid over, how much should you bid over to be quote unquote reasonable? Because go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that. And right now, we're going to share with you the average for Fairfax County. Now, when you're ready to make an offer, you want to see what that average is going to be the price over asking in a specific neighborhood, because we're giving you an overview of the entire area, but you really want to look at the neighborhood and the comps for the property you're looking at specifically.
Absolutely. So closed sales for January 2023, we had 569 closed sales. This is down 34% compared to January of 2022, and it's down 28% from December 2022. So we are seeing a trend of less closed sales in the month of January versus December. This is usually not the case. As you can see, we had more closed sales in January of 2022, but there are some leading indicator numbers that we're going to cover at the end of this session that is going to kind of highlight what you can expect as far as like the spring selling season. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Number two, we're at average sales price. So this is the average sales price property sold at. $721,000 was the average sales price in January. This includes all property types too. So townhouses, condos, and single family homes. So of course, this average sales price is going to be higher if you talk about single family homes. It's going to be slightly lower if you talk about townhouses, and it's
Mhm.
going to be significantly lower if you're talking about condos. This is a 1% increase over last year, which again, if you look at the closed sales numbers, you would think, okay, we had a dip in sales. So that means that buyer demand is down.
Mhm.
Buyer demand leads to lower sales price. That's not true. We actually had the average sales price increase, and it even increased from December to January. So this means that while buyer demand dipped, also seller inventory dipped at the same time. So it's almost like the market is kind of meeting itself in the middle. Now we have average days on market. This is how long it took for homes to sell on average. This date does not include the time that the home is under contract.
Mhm.
So this is the marketing time period from when the home is listed and then it goes under contract. The under contract date, like how long it took to sell, that's a whole nother number, which isn't really that relevant. So it took 36 days on market for a property to sell in December. December transactions occur, they go into contract January
January's
yes.
transactions actually went under contract either in November or December. So what you're looking at now are the homes that technically sold or accepted an offer, 30 to 45 days before that point.
Yes, and so this number is up by 8%, so just a 3 days increase, and it's also up 6 days from December. And December sales, again, December sales are going to occur, they're going to go into contract in October or November. This number right here, we should expect this number to actually come down as we get into the true spring selling season. And we're actually going to talk about the seasons in this today's session, where we cover questions home sellers should ask.
But before we move on from that one, I want to say that we're already starting to see the days on market drop, and that's because in the winter season during the holidays, a lot of homes took a little bit longer to sell. However, we're already starting to see homes go under contract on the first weekend they come on the market within 7 to 10 days on the long end now. So we're definitely going to see these numbers drop. Maybe not so much when we look at the February numbers, because again, those are going to be the properties that went under contract in January, but definitely by the time we review the March numbers.
Now, the percentage of units selling over asking price, we had 23% of all homes that sold sell above the asking price. This is a 14-point increase from, decrease from January of 2022. This year, January 2022 was still at the height of the market.
Mhm.
So it's understandable that we would have a decrease. I think a lot of people did not expect that we have so many properties still selling above the asking price, especially in the winter season. And so this is also a decrease by 1 point from December. We should expect this number here to increase as we go into the spring selling season, because like you already mentioned, days on market are starting to decrease. That means that last week's buyers who were disappointed by the properties that they lost are now much more aggressive this week. That's what we start to actually see with our buyer clients, right?
Yes, because what we're starting to see is we're putting in even full price offers on opening week and opening day, and we're still finding that there are multiple offers already being put on those properties. So we know that means that, as Abraham said, our buyers are going to be, I hate to say it, they're going to be more realistic and more aggressive as we move through the season, because it only takes so many times of losing properties before a buyer will say, okay, well, what can I do to improve my odds? And that goes back to number 4 and 5 on our list, which is the number of units that are selling above asking price, and then also what that means for that buyer.
Yeah, so if we kind of go over like this little diagram here. So if we have the weeks right here, so week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's say that a buyer starts to put offers in on week 1 and they lose, right? If they lose again in week 2, then they start to actually become more aggressive, right? And then in week 3, week 4, they're going to increase their aggressiveness, and then it just keeps on going. So that's why even when you saw the interest rates increase last year, we really had a backlog of buyers who were losing several months in a row,
who were still in the market,
who were still in the
who
market.
were like, okay, I'm not doing this again next spring.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's just something to consider as far as like how buyers become more and more aggressive, which is why it's important for you to know the numbers and the stats for your particular market. Because if you come into the market in week 1 and you're like, oh, you know what, this is going to be a fun little opportunity. I'm gonna go see some houses and then I'm gonna make an offer. And then you get slaughtered here, it could become demoralizing. We saw some buyers last year just back out of the market altogether.
I'll rent.
Yeah, I'll rent. Yeah.
I'll renew my lease. I'm not too rich for my blood, right?
Yep.
But one of the things I want to point out is Abraham talks about this increased aggression with buyers as they continue to view properties and they see properties they're interested in go under contract. Is actually going to go into what we're going to talk about with our buyers today, as far as writing contracts.
Right.
Because we're going to talk about what it means to write an offer and also what's included. And what we saw as we moved with certain buyers through the market, we saw them start to become more aggressive. And in doing that, they started to remove some things from the contracts. We're going to talk about that a little bit in today's video.
Excellent. So the last number I want to talk to you all about is the average price over asking price. So this is when you have a buyer who actually secured a property, they paid over asking price. That segment of buyers, how much they pay on average over asking price. This was $21,000 this year, which is down $10,000 from last January, which is a 33% decrease. And you could see that it's kind of in alignment with what the buyers were doing in December. So December, they were paying $23,000 over the asking price. In January, they were paying $21,000 over asking price. You should see this number start to increase as buyers become more aggressive. Also, buyers in the spring are just more in they're more aggressive in general because they have either planned this purchase and they kind of set a deadline for themselves. And so they have access to more resources. And so we should see this number increase.
And before we move on, I do want to point out again that this number is largely going to depend on the specific neighborhood you're looking at, right? So this is the average. As Abraham pointed out, we're looking at condos, townhouses, and single families. But not only do you need to take into consideration the property type, you also want to consider the neighborhood. So this is, again, why it's important to look at the comps for your specific area.
And have your agent run the numbers as far as what are people paying on average over asking price for the market you're in. So like in Vienna, you won't be able to really compete with $21,000 over asking price.
If you're in an area like Kingstowne, then that would be more competitive.
Right. So your location will determine your effectiveness for using the strategy. All right, so let's talk about the top zip codes as far as sales are concerned. Annandale was the number 1 zip code, the 22003, and then Reston 20190 with 28 transactions, and then Fairfax 22033 with 23 transactions. So if you want to see this presentation, just go to our YouTube channel for the rebroadcast. I know some of the people on TikTok can't really see this, and I apologize. All right, let's talk about the conclusion, and then we'll go into our next segment. One of the pieces of data we haven't really reviewed is new listings and new pendings. When we look at lagging indicators, which is when a home sells, the average sales price, that's really what happened in the past. What's happening right now is that in January in Fairfax County, there were 790 new listings, and then there were 791 new pendings. So that means that the market bought 790 transactions to the table, or 790 properties to the table, and then 791 buyers bought those properties that were available. This is a great indicator of the fact that we are going to have a very aggressive spring market because the buyers are sucking up all of the available
Inventory as soon as it
inventory.
comes on the market.
And the way inventory works is, so yes, we do have some stagnant inventory that was on the market from this past winter. A lot of those contracts you're going to start to see those properties come off the market and come back on the market, either to try to manipulate the days on market or to
the appearance of the days on market. It actually won't change the days on market, but what it will do is it will show up as a new listing again. So for buyers, they'll see it as a new listing coming on the market. However, you still can see that it's been on the market for 3+ months.
Yes.
When you look at the total days on market.
So in the MLS, it doesn't confuse the real estate agents. Like we can see that.
Yes, it doesn't confuse us. It may confuse some of the buyers.
Yes. And on some of the online portals like Zillow, Redfin, Realtor.com, it'll just show up as a new listing. And a lot of people use those portals to do their searches.
Absolutely.
All right. Next up is we should expect yeah, sorry about that. Next up is we should expect prices to increase in February. So we're already looking at $721,000 average sales price. So we'll be able to talk to you all next month about how that number has increased. You should expect it to increase. You should also expect to start to pay more money over the asking price. This money that you pay over the asking price is going to come in one of two ways. First of all, you may just increase your loan amount to cover the difference because the appraisers are going to also start to become more aggressive with their analysis of the property's values.
Which we saw last year, because last year when we were seeing properties sell for so much more than list price, we're like, well, surely these homes aren't appraising, but they were
appraising. And the next thing is, so you have your loan could contain the new sales price, but also we're going to start to see people dip into their retirement accounts. We're going to see them dip into their savings accounts. We're going to see people take loans from their parents, or their parents just kind of fund the difference.
Well, yeah. So we also saw a lot of people removing their appraisal contingency and just bringing more cash to the table,
right?
Or insuring the amount. So in the event that there was a low appraisal, they ensured that they would cover that difference. So yes, we saw that last year, and we anticipate more of that this year.
Last up is days on market are going to start trending down. So we're going to start to see properties stay on the market really just one weekend. Like
we're already seeing that.
Yes. So properties going to come on the market in Northern Virginia. Properties come on the market on Wednesday and Thursdays for
Wednesday through Friday, typically.
Wednesday, but I mean the data shows that really we're looking at Thursday is the date that most of the properties come on the market. Wednesday is the second highest date, and then all the other dates like Friday, Saturday are going to be trailing behind. So what happens is listing agents will put their houses on the market, put the listing on the market on Wednesday or Thursday in anticipation of a Saturday, Sunday open house. That Saturday, Sunday open house is where they'll probably have the largest number of showings because they could do group showings. And then they will entertain offers on Sunday night. Sunday night is when Sunday night and Monday midday. Then winners will be selected on Monday or Tuesday morning, right? And that's when you're going to start to see the days on market actually start to decrease precipitously. While it's going to look like properties took 5 days to sell, that's not really the case. Those properties could have sold on Thursday or Wednesday, but they held
off on accepting offers. So many times we will see in the listing on the agent side, what the buyers can't see is there'll be notes for agents saying offers are due by Monday at noon. Right. And so even if a buyer submitted an offer on Friday, the agent is anticipating multiple offers. So they're going to hold off on making a decision until Monday at noon, and then meet with their client and perhaps change the status or accept an offer Monday evening or sometime on Tuesday, which is why we've been telling clients. We had a client just this past weekend who was interested in a property, and they were not going to be able to be competitive in this situation. And so we told them, hey, if you're interested in this property, great. We're going to reach out to the agent, but chances are this is going to be another multiple offer situation. And if the property is still on the market Tuesday evening, then we could submit an offer on Wednesday, because this property had lots of updates. We anticipate, honestly, I expect it to probably sell 30 to 40 over list price once it closes.
$1,000, just thousands of dollars.
Yes.
Put some respect on that.
I'm sorry. Let me put some respect on $30,000. But sure enough, on Tuesday morning, I told Abraham, since yesterday, I said, that property is still available. I'm going to, run the numbers for the client. He said, well, call the agent and see if it's really available. And kid you not, by noon, status had changed. They had already accepted an offer. Turned out they had multiple offers as anticipated.
Yeah, so if you're not a buyer, if you're a buyer who has a limited budget, you don't have as much in savings, and you're using an a less than desirable loan product, maybe you're using like an FHA loan or even a VA loan, to be
which
honest with
just
you.
aren't as competitive. And it's not because they're not worthy loan programs. It's because, unfortunately, listing agents uh, believe that there's a better chance, especially when we're in a market where there's a chance that the house won't appraise. They believe that someone who's bringing more cash to the table is a better option.
Well, I mean, I would also say that some people who use those like a FHA loan or a VA loan, they kind of withhold information from their agents, their buyer agents, as far as like how much money they really have. And
Mm.
so you'll see somebody who uses a lower payment product that will only tell their agent, "Oh, this is all I have." And then when they lose out on the deal, we'll let them know, "Okay, great. You know, the other person paid $40,000 over asking price," and
I
they'll
have
say, "I have $40,000." It's like, you didn't tell us. Like, if you didn't tell us, then we
we
can't.
didn't know we could be so aggressive.
Yes.
So yeah, that is true.
This goes back to the fact that people lose and then they get serious. Unfortunately, you just have to lose a certain number of deals before you really get into the game, which we
Mhm.
don't know how to get clients out of that losing season to get them serious, because
Well, we do know that they have to go through the pain of losing a few homes, but and that's perfectly fine to do that because there isn't, and we're going to talk about this a little bit later. There isn't one right house for you.
right.
So it's perfectly fine. We know the process. The process is that they have to go through the pain of losing a few properties, so that way they can decide how serious they want to be. Because if they were serious, they would be more aggressive to begin with. Or I think they have to go through it to understand that it's not just about, well, they asked for this price, I'm going to give this price.
Yes. Well, I don't know if they can't be more aggressive. I think that a lot of people don't trust their agents.
Mhm.
And so when their agents are like, this is a competitive offer situation, they're like, well, I'm gonna give them full price. And he's
Mhm.
like, well, full price is
That's not
just
really competitive.
that's really
Well,
the
that's why you
starting
try to lead
price.
with data, which is why we always share, as Abraham said, the number of units that are going over asking price, but also the percentage so that they can make a decision. Oftentimes, you'll share the numbers and say, okay, well, our homes in this neighborhood are going for 6% over list price. And then the client will say, okay, well, I'll give them 2% over. And that's perfectly fine.
Yes.
But we've already shown you the data. And it's great when you can go back to them with data and say, hey, we showed you this. And unfortunately selected another offer. You can't be surprised in that scenario because another buyer had that same information and they used the information, whereas this person had that information and decided that it was nice to know, but they weren't going to use it.
That's correct. So good. So that's Fairfax County's numbers for January 2023. Come back tomorrow. Really, tonight we're going to cover Prince William County's
We are.
numbers, and for our morning crew, we're going to cover Prince William County numbers in the morning, so you all could also participate in that as well. Right now, since we're switching segments, we're going to answer any questions that you may have. So post your questions down below about buying a home, selling a home, investing in real estate, maybe about neighborhoods that you're thinking about moving to, or your commute, or your favorite restaurant. Let us know anything like that right now while we're switching topics.
Okay. And Abraham, while we're waiting for you to post your comments, we're going to go ahead and pull up the Perfect Home Questionnaire. We do have a Perfect Home Questionnaire where you can click the link in the description to schedule a meeting with Abraham to discuss your home buying journey. Or if you're planning to sell your home or invest in real estate, click that link and we'll schedule a time for you to meet with Abraham via Zoom. And if you're watching us from TikTok, you can click the link in the bio.
Excellent. So we do have one question right now on TikTok. The question is, how can I buy the land my house is built on? How can I buy the land my house is built on? Maybe this person is asking, how can I buy land to build a house on?
I'm not, if you're still here, if you could clarify, do you own the home you live in?
But you have land underneath the house that you do not live on. That's
If
not a normal situation. So if you're looking to buy land, land is also listed in the MLS as well. So you could easily buy land that way. Other
Yeah,
than
if you
that,
can clarify that question for
right.
us, we'd be more than happy to answer it.
Since we're in Northern Virginia, we don't really have that much raw land that's available. So what we normally see is we see people buy existing homes that are older, that sit on nice sized lots that will meet the needs of your new construction property. And we see people tear down the property, or they'll tear down everything except one wall, so then they don't have to go through the extensive permitting process. So that's what we see at this time. So good. So get your questions ready. Any questions you may have about buying a home, selling a home, investing in real estate, we will wait until this song ends, and then we're switching topics. We're going to go into our 100 questions every first-time home buyer should ask. Today's question is a good one. It's going to be a little short, and it is, how do I make an offer? How do I make an offer? So if we don't have any questions, All right. So no questions.
Very good.
Let's get into it. So how do I make an offer? Offers contain at least three things. They contain the property description, also known as the address. If you're talking about raw land, like this individual on TikTok was just mentioning, it's gonna contain like the
legal description.
The legal description, right? And then number two is consideration, like what will you pay for the property? Number three is the settlement date. So when will this property close?
Yeah, so if you have these three things, then you technically have enough for a contract. Essentially, it can say that Brian the buyer will purchase the home at 123 Main Street for $800,000 with a closing date of March 30th, 2023. That's all you need to have a sales contract. However, in the state of Virginia, we typically do not write our contracts that way, right? We have the residential sales contract that we use that's going to include that information with a host of other items and details.
Northern Virginia sales contract is pretty standard. So for most of our offers, it is true that you could make an offer just on the back of a napkin and say, I, the buyer, would like to buy your property, the seller. Unfortunately, the lawyers have gotten into the
unfortunately. I don't know if I'll say
yes.
Unfortunately.
Yes. Every time a contract gets larger, it's usually tied to a lawsuit. So somebody got sued, and then the lawyers have gotten involved to minimize the number of lawsuits, and now we have multi-page contracts.
Yes, for clarity, our contracts actually change twice a year, or at least they're reviewed twice a year. So every January and July we get updates to our sales contracts, and there are usually very small changes, but just a little clarity here and there. So there are a few things that are usually included outside of just the address, name of the parties, and the sales price, right? We're usually going to have the earnest money deposit, which we've already talked about previously, which is how much you're going to hold in escrow to show the seller how serious you are, right? So you're going to put the earnest money deposit down. That's usually going to be held by the title company. You're also going to have the details about what does and does not convey. And so when we say convey, we're talking about what's going to stay with the property. So that means the appliances, the ceiling fans, if there's storage, if there's a storage shed, garage door openers, things of that nature. So all of those fixtures within the home, what's going to stay? Are the window treatments staying, or are they going? So all of that is included in the conveyances. And then in addition to that, on the very first page of the contract, not only are you going to share how much you're going to pay, you're also going to share what type of financing you're using. So if you are using a FHA loan, a VA loan, or a conventional loan, you have to identify that in the sales contract, but also how much of a down payment will you be putting down? And if you plan on changing that at any point in the contract, that has to be agreed upon by the seller after you've agreed to this initial financing.
Lastly is if there'll be any type of inspection, so like wood destroying insect inspection as well.
Yeah.
So then we talk about, so that's the contract. Most transactions in Northern Virginia have financing. And that means that there's always going to be, in most scenarios, it's going to be an addendum, right? And so some of the popular addendums are home inspection, including a radon inspection. And then with those home inspection and radon inspection, it's going to talk to you about the length of the inspection. It's going to talk about whether or not you're going to negotiate repairs, and it'll talk about the period of time of this whole negotiation process.
Yes, so it's going to give you an opportunity to do due diligence. And so you have two different types of inspections we usually see with our home inspection contingencies. You're going to have a full home inspection, and then there's going to be an option with an option to void only. So the full home inspection, that means that you'll do the inspection and you have the opportunity to ask for repairs or credit from the seller. And if you are unsatisfied with the results, you're able to void the sales contract for any reason during that negotiation period. Well, with the notice of void only, that means you'll have the inspection, but you're saying on the front end, I'm going to do this inspection, but there are only two outcomes here. I'm either going to choose to move forward without asking the seller to do anything, or I am going to void the sales contract and the seller can put the property back on the market. And in that same addendum, you can identify if you want to have a radon test. And essentially the same goes here, whereas you can have the radon inspection and you're going to ask the seller to remediate the radon or void the sales contract. So that is one of the two most common addendums that we see. And as Abraham said, we also have the financing contingency, which is going to go into more detail about the buyer's financing. And we're going to specify how long the buyer has to, to secure that financing.
As you can tell, Crystal writes most of our contracts. So she is
I am the admin on. So Abraham is our real estate agent. I'm his administrative assistant, and so I do handle most of the contracts.
There you go, girl. Talk your stuff. Talk to them about the financing contingency since you're on a roll. Go ahead.
So the financing contingency will say how long you have to secure your financing. We see two types of financing two types of financing, either one that automatically expires on a specified date or one that automatically continues. And it just says, the seller is going to have, the buyer is going to have 18 days to provide financing approval. And if not, then the contingency automatically expires or automatically continues. If it automatically expires, that means that at the end of that 18 days, if you don't let them know that you have not gotten your financing, then you can't get out because your financing isn't approved, right? So we always do automatically extend. We never select automatically expires because you just don't know how long your lender is going to need, specifically because of the appraisal, which is also included in its contingency. It's going to say how long the lender has to get that appraisal back to the agents to let them know whether or not the house appraised. And also it specifies what happens in the event of a low appraisal. So if the property doesn't appraise, then you have a couple of different options, right? You can renegotiate the sales price. You can, if the seller isn't willing to renegotiate the sales price, the buyer may have the option to bring the difference to the table, or everybody can just choose to walk away. And so that addendum is the second most common addendum. And we're going to see that in almost every scenario. So these two addendums are part of almost every contract. Even an appraisal contingency when someone is paying cash is sometimes included. But as we alluded to earlier, buyers become more aggressive as the market changes after they lose 3 and 4 properties. And so last year we started to see a lot of people, and this is not something we recommend, but last year we did see a lot of people start to remove those contingencies. We will talk about these addendums and contingencies in questions 35 through 38. So I'm not going to go too much more into them here, but just know that that is coming up next week.
Excellent. So the next document that you're going to see in the offer is the residential property disclosure, which is usually provided by the listing agent, or really it's always provided by the listing agent. And you're going to include a copy of your pre-approval letter. We've already kind of talked about pre-approval letters in a previous video.
Mm-hmm.
So just look on our channel for our series about the 100 questions every first-time home buyer should ask. Excellent. Anything else we want to cover in this section?
That is it. That's it. Now, actually, there is something I want to talk about. So one thing that we always share with our buyers, as soon as we sign buyers, we send them a copy of the sales contract immediately. It's part of the welcome package that I send our clients when we take them on. And it's because in a seller's market, things tend to move very quickly. Meaning that if you see a property, and it kind of goes into this next segment we're going to talk about, if you see a property and it is a hot market, while many sellers will hold off until after that first weekend to accept offers, we also have sellers who are going to accept as soon as they get a good offer.
Yes,
When they get their number, they accept. We had a seller we're working with that. We got an offer first day on the market, and she said, "Hey, you know what? Cancel everything else." She said, cancel the open house, cancel all the showings this weekend. I got more than I expected to get. I'm good to go. I don't want to interrupt my family time the rest of this weekend, right? So because of that, sometimes uh buyers move very quickly, or they put their offers in very quickly. And for that reason, we go ahead and we send all of our clients a sample sales contract on the front end. And it's going to have the sales contract with all the addendum. And the reason we send that on the front end is because if you decide you want to make an offer quickly, we don't want you to sign a contract blindly without reading it. So by sending a contract to our clients on the front end, they already know what it looks like and they already know what goes where. So when Abraham meets with them and they give them the specifics of the offer, they have already read the contract and know exactly what's going to go in there on the front end, because the contracts are rather long. Just the sales contract is 12 pages. And that's before we add the financing contingency, before we add the home inspection and radon contingency. So we make sure that we give that to them on the front end, just because when you're in a rush, you're probably not going to read a 20-page document or go over it with a fine tooth comb. And I would hate for the first time you see that document to be when you're about to sign it.
Yes, yes. So I wanted to mention that one of the transactions this past January, which was the highest price over asking price paid, which is a buyer paid $200,000 over the asking price for it was a $1.1 million property. They paid $1.3 million. It was an all cash offer, and this offer caused the seller to cancel the open house. So this is another one of those scenarios where when you're becoming more and more aggressive, you'll just make an offer before the offer deadline. You'll force the hand of the listing agent to review the offer, and then the seller will make a decision, or could make a decision. Hey, look, I'm not going to even wait till the weekend.
Yes, because sometimes the sellers will say, okay, I'm holding offers to noon. Or what a buyer can do, if you're aggressive and you feel like you've wrote a strong offer, is you can tell them, I'm going to pull my offer at 10 p.m. on Saturday. So if you don't reply to me by 10 p.m. on Saturday, I'm going to send you a void and we're going to move on to the next property.
Right.
Does that always work? No. But this person was offering $200,000 cash above list price. So I think that they felt like they were in a driver's seat in that scenario. And it seems like they were.
Right. One more thing I want to mention in this book, it talks about how you're going to move between 5 to 7 times in your lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
That's in a normal market where prices are reasonable. Northern Virginia, the prices are so high, you don't really have a lot of people transitioning from condo, townhouse, largest townhouse, smaller single family home, to large single family home, large single family homes to luxury home, and then downside. We just don't see that transition in our market because prices are you're already paying $500,000 to $700,000 for a townhouse. So it's very likely that the house that you purchase is going to be the house that you're going to be in until you retire,
or at least for a long while.
Yes. So while you don't have to wrap your head around getting the property right, or there are going to be other properties that meet your criteria. The idea that you'll overpay for a property, and now that overpaying for that property will cause you some type of angst, is just less likely, because you're not going to be moving around that often. Unless you're a baller. If you're a baller, a shot caller.
Well, if you're a baller, a shot caller, I don't think you're worried about losing those few $100 a month. So
that's true. Excellent. So that was question number 32. How do I make an offer? You all definitely want to come back tomorrow when we go through the actual purchase agreement. And that is going to be we're actually going to go through the Northern Virginia purchase agreement.
Yes, we're going to go through the residential sales contract for Northern Virginia on tomorrow. That is going to be question number 33 from the first-time homebuyers class, but it's going to be great for sellers too, because it's one document that both parties get. So as I said, we go over this with our buyers on the front end. I think it's great for sellers to also review it, not because they have on a time crunch when they receive an offer, but just because it's the perfect time it's ideal to know what you're going to get before you get it. So we're going to go over that tomorrow.
That's going to be tomorrow's show. So while we're getting ready for 100 questions every home seller should ask.
He always wants to say first-time home seller.
I do want to say
every time he wants to say first-time home seller. That's not what it is, but
yes, I feel like there should be a book for first-time home sellers.
I don't. You know why?
Why?
Because you sell a home so infrequently that every time is like the first time. Because it's not something you do often. So because you don't do it that often, it's not like you're going to remember what you did 7 years ago or how the process went. just
Okay.
not how memory
That's
works.
a good point. That's a good point. All right, let us know where you're watching the show from in the comment section. We'd love to know where you are located, and let us know what your questions are. So if you're buying a home, selling a home, investing in real estate, or maybe you're thinking about relocating to the area, you want to get some insider scoop about the location. We've been here almost 10 years. It'll be 10 years in August.
Well,
So we have an opinion. We have a word or
strong
two,
opinions
yes,
about the area.
about something. And post your questions right here, and we will get through those questions, any new questions that we have right now before we go into our seller topic. All right. So while we're getting those questions ready, just want to let you know there is a link in the description to the Perfect Home Questionnaire. Fill out that form, and we will schedule time to meet online to answer any and all of your real estate questions. So no matter where you are in the real estate journey, whether you're buying a home, selling a home, or investing in real estate, we have you covered. All right. So we have another question on TikTok. I would like to buy a duplex as a home buyer. How can I buy a duplex as a first time buyer? Does VA have duplexes for sale? Okay. So when it comes to duplexes, different regions have different definitions for words.
Mhm.
In Northern Virginia, a duplex is similar to a townhouse. Now, we're from New Orleans. In New Orleans, a duplex actually means a 2-unit property
On one lot,
uh,
yeah.
with one
Well,
owner.
one owner.
With one owner.
That's not the case here.
That's not the case in Northern Virginia. In Northern Virginia, a duplex is really just, it's a similar type of property where you have two properties on that share a wall,
With a shared wall.
with a shared wall,
With separate owners.
with separate owners. So you could definitely buy a duplex as a first-time home buyer. Will you be able to buy a 2-unit property in no?
Well, we don't even. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know how it is in other areas. As far, again, we only work in Northern Virginia. We do not work in DC or Maryland. So I am not very familiar with any duplexes,
Well,
because even
yes.
in the ones you see in Jefferson Manor in Alexandria, Fairfax County, those are again single owner. So you have a
Right.
duplex with a shared wall, single owner. Where we're from, we see a lot of duplexes or doubles as they're called back home. But again, that's one owner for two properties and two addresses. That's not the case here. I'm not even familiar with any area in Northern Virginia that has single owner.
Multifamily. So
Yeah.
multifamily properties, again, that's one of those things. This individual, I believe this individual is talking about a multifamily property.
Mhm.
And Northern Virginia, we just don't have that many. There are a few, but they're really expensive. They're not affordable at all. And yeah, they're just so uncommon that we don't really even talk about them.
Yeah. I mean, we
So
haven't come across them in the 10 years we've been working here.
no, I mean we've seen them.
No, I'm saying we haven't come across them as
Oh,
far as
gotcha.
either
A
listing
client.
or buying.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
we
yes.
haven't at all. Of course,
Gotcha.
they exist just like apartments, but that's just not something we deal
Yes.
primarily with.
I've seen there's a threeplex that comes up on the market every now and then. Are there are threeplexes in the Del Rey area.
Okay.
Del Rey has a couple threeplexes or triplexes, but as far as duplexes, multifamily living, while this is attractive, right? You have a tenant on one side, kind of offsetting
Paying your mortgage or offsetting your
offsetting your
mortgage.
mortgage. No, we don't have that in Northern Virginia. Sorry about that. All right, so we have Nathan12 who just followed us. Thank you so much for following us. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, and TikTok. We go live twice a day right now, Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Nope.
Not
10 a.m. and 8 p.m. Please, not till.
Yeah, not till.
10
This is not
a.m.
a marathon.
And 8 p.m.
Yes. So we're testing out this new schedule to give you all a to see like what the audience response is, and also to be quite frank with you, I like the daily shows because it gets us into the habit of not being perfect.
Mhm.
And we just
And
deliver
just
the
putting
content.
the content out,
Yeah,
right?
just put the content out.
And when he says that, it's because we do have the YouTube channel. If you're watching from on any of those other platforms, we have a YouTube channel. And we have a lot of content on there, ranging from pros and cons of different areas to neighborhood spotlights, cost of living videos, us just doing things around the area. But you'll see on those videos, a lot of our content on the YouTube channel is scripted content. And so that takes a lot of time, a lot of editing. And so we want to get content out to you guys more quickly. And the best way to do that is through live streams. And so that's what we are doing now. We're doing it twice a day to see if we're able to keep that up and manage it.
Right.
If not, we're doing it for the next 2 weeks. So we have until next Thursday.
And then we'll make a decision.
Reevaluate and see if we would just want to go back to once a day. This does make our days a little bit longer.
A lot bit longer.
Yes. But we're trying it for the next 2 weeks, and we'll see if we want to stick with one of these 2 times or if we're going to try for a different time.
There's a reason why the news doesn't allow their broadcast. They have
their anchor. They have a morning crew and an evening crew.
Yeah,
because
it's a lot of work talking. Talking is a job. So I know that some people look at this and like, is that what you do for a living?
Yes. Well, no, this is what we do in between all the other stuff we have to do for a living. And so that's why this makes the days especially long, is because we're doing this. And then between now and the 8 o'clock show, we have to do all our other work and then come back here at 8 p.m.
So what do you all feel about the show? How do you like the show so far? Do you like what we're doing? Do you like this whole concept? Do you think it's a waste of time? What do you think? Let us know. And also let us know about the timing.
Be kind, because I'm especially sensitive. So,
okay, yeah. Be kind for her.
Be kind. You don't have to be kind to Abraham, but please be kind to me.
Right. I'm already married and I also have children, so I'm doing fine. Yeah, so let us know your feedback. We're always looking for feedback. Feedback is the breakfast of champions.
Okay.
All right, so we don't have any questions right now, so we'll go into our seller content, our seller discussion.
Okay, so today for our sellers, we're talking about what's the best time to sell. So we're going to talk about the different times of year that we look at selling homes and what that can mean for you as a seller.
All right, so real estate agents are an interesting bunch because they will tell you that every time is a good time to sell.
Yes, they will tell you the best time of a year to sell your home is now.
Yes, they always have these advertisements that say the best time to buy is now, the best time to sell is now. There is never a bad time for a real estate agent to tell you that.
Well, there's never a bad time to do either of those things if you listen to most real estate agents.
Right.
Real estate agents. Most real estate agents.
Well, I guess,
real estate agents.
I guess you should understand why an agent would tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
You could sell your property now. I think that they're saying that the best time to sell now is because you could get rid of the property if you wanted to at this time. Now, whether or not it's going to work as far as your financial needs, whether or not it's going to work for your deadline needs, those things are different than whether or not you could sell right now. So I think that's why real estate agents say that. Just like a buyer could buy all throughout the year. A lot of
buyers,
what
does that mean, right? If you buy in the wintertime, you're looking at less inventory. If you buy in the springtime, you're looking at more competition. So yes, you can sell anytime, but there are a few caveats. And so we're going to talk about what that means. And essentially, we kind of talked about this a little bit yesterday, which is we have the markets follow the seasons.
Yes. And so just the seasons of the year too. So like there's a spring and summer season, and then there is a fall and winter season. Now, the seasons do mimic the school year more than it mimics the time of the year. The school year mimics the seasons. And so now I guess that's why people kind of get it kind of mixed up, because we see a lot of our clients have, especially in the single family home market, they have children, and those children schedule kind of dictate a lot of their lifestyle. And so we see a lot of people trying to time their move to coincide with, okay, great, my kid gets out of school at the beginning of June, so I would like to be out of the house, or at least have it sold by the middle of June. And so then they kind of work backwards, or they say to themselves, you know what, I missed the spring market, so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to move around Christmas time so that my kid can then go into school the second half of the year into a new school, right? So a lot of the market is predicated around that. And then we have the leasing market, right? Because a lot of our first-time home buyers are moving in from a rental property. And so their leases are also tied to the school system, because the property managers want to make sure that they are able to market their product to the highest number of available clients.
Absolutely. So it's why occasionally you'll see a house has a minimum 14-month lease. It's because the property manager is trying to end that lease in May, June, so that they're able to put the house back on the market as people are registering their kids for school for the following school year.
One thing we see from our buyer clients, and this is important for sellers, is that while the spring market, we start to see more activity in February, March timeframe. A lot of those buyers don't plan on actually purchasing a property until like April, May timeframe because
Mhm.
their leases aren't up until June timeframe, right?
Mhm.
So they really use that February, March timeframe as almost like a discovery time to kind of learn the market, learn the neighborhoods. And this is why you see so much activity, but you're probably wondering, like, I didn't get that many offers.
Mhm. Which again doesn't matter as much because you only need one. But our spring market here starts as soon as the holidays are over.
Right.
So spring is usually the busiest time for both buyers and sellers, and that's for a number of reasons. Spring here really starts as soon as the holidays are over, like as soon as that like Christmas hangover is over, people start removing their trees. That's when we start to see an uptick in showings and also uptick in closed properties. And that's for a couple of different reasons. First of all, the weather's better, so we don't have any snow on the ground. It's not freezing cold. As a seller, you probably don't want to put your home on the market in the dead of winter because, there may be a chill in the air, which or you have to keep your home especially warm. There's snow on the ground, so you have to worry about people trekking up and down your walkway to get to your home. But also just because the sun is out more in the spring, the days are longer, and with the days being longer, that also means that you can have showings later into the day. We personally don't like to show homes too much in the evening during the fall winter time just because it's so dark outside. So even if we take a client to see a property at 5:30, and the sun's already down, you can't really see the lot, you can't see the backyard. So if a client is interested in a property that we've seen in the evening, Abraham will often tell them, okay, now tomorrow morning drive by again, just take a look at the yard.
Right.
Right. So when you put your home on the market in the springtime, you have those longer days. And by longer days, I mean, if the sun's not going down to 7:30, 8 o'clock, you can have showings until 8 o'clock. Right. So with those longer days, that gives you an opportunity to have even more showings of your property.
Excuse me. Another thing about the spring market, spring sellers are similar to spring buyers where they have been planning on this process.
Hmm.
And that means that spring sellers have been getting their property ready ever since the wintertime.
Hmm.
So a lot of our spring clients have started doing their decluttering, painting, repairs, any kind of deferred maintenance. They start that process in the wintertime. Now there is this idea that, okay, great, if you're going on in the spring, you really don't want to be selling your house during the holiday season. That's really not true to the degree of you're kind of getting your property ready and you want to get the most amount of money possible. To maximize your profit, there is some level of planning.
Hmm.
Yes, you can. If the market is just if like the last 2 years when properties were just flying off the market, there were a lot of sellers who were putting their houses on the market in any kind of condition whatsoever. It just didn't matter.
Hmm.
But that is not a normal market. In a normal market, and you want to prepare yourself to just participate in a normal market, even though this coming spring is going to be aggressive. You still want to plan to put your house on the market. That means doing any deferred maintenance, making sure that the house shows well, because properties that show well just attract more buyers.
Yes.
Buyers are less hesitant about placing offers. They don't have to think about, oh my God, like what do I have to repair next in this property?
Well, not only that, they'll also be more aggressive because they know that the property is more desirable. So if you just put your house on the market with little planning, then although you may get an offer, you may likely get fewer offers than had you prepared in the winter by, doing that deferred maintenance, decluttering, and getting the home what we consider showing ready.
All right, so the next market that our next season we have is summertime. So summertime is summertime. The clients I see coming on the summertime usually miss the spring market.
Mhm.
They either they were really busy at work or they had some family conflict and they just couldn't meet that spring deadline. So
Mhm.
now they're like, oh my goodness, I want to at least get the back tail end of the spring market, which is the market when we have the most transactions.
Yeah. Now we do tend to see the summer market start to slow down around that mid-July, August time frame. So even though you're still in summer, you have to continue with families traveling. Also, some buyers are going to back out of the market if they weren't able to secure a property, let's say by the end of June, early
Right.
July. They're just going to go ahead and say, you know what? School year is about to start. We haven't solidified anything. We haven't found a property because you have to think is in Fairfax County, our school year is inching further and further up. We're starting school now third week of August. So we're starting school third week of August. That means that a buyer has to have a house under contract by the third week of July. So if they haven't been able to secure a property by that time, a lot of buyers are just going to bow out because they're not optimistic about being in a new property by the first day of the new school year.
I'll also add that a lot of our buyers are in leases. Leases require a 60-day notice. That notice is usually has to be given by May, because a lot of them are
Yeah.
leases that
Mhm.
end in the summertime. So a lot of buyers just renew their leases either in like the summertime or even in the wintertime. We've seen some of our winter buyers who aren't able to successfully secure something in November, December timeframe to say, you know what, let me just re-up on my lease, even if it's a 6-month lease or
Yeah, we oftentimes see them try to get a 6-month lease. And if you are a buyer watching, then definitely try to do that, because otherwise you're going to be in that same scenario the following winter.
All right, so the next season we have is fall winter season. So the way fall winter season works is as soon as the kids get back into school, like 2 weeks after school starts, the market picks up again, because now the homeowners or the parents can now focus on the next task. It seems like what I'm noticing is that people have limited amount of focus, and the kids take up so much energy that they cause you to say, you know what, I don't want to take on 2 tasks at one time. So once my kid gets back in school to get settled in, then we see the fall season pick back up, and we're going to have like an uptick of homes hit the market like this, like the second or third week that school begins, and that's going to run all the way up until really like a week or two after Halloween.
Hmm.
And we start to see things start to dip down right before
The holiday
Thanksgiving.
season.
Yeah.
And as the holidays come around, you're going to see fewer properties come on the market, which for some sellers is a good thing, because there is significantly less competition during the fall winter time. But as we've seen in the numbers earlier, days on market do tend to accumulate and rack up because you're going to have fewer buyers in the market. So homes have to be priced to sell more in the fall winter time. We're going to see more, especially in the winter. We're going to see more sellers who have to sell. They have a deadline. There's a reason they have to sell. They can't wait 6 months for spring market. They can't wait 3 months even for the official, really, like the February spring market to start. But another thing we see in the wintertime is listings come off the market. So, not so much around Thanksgiving, but we will see a number of sellers pull their homes during the holiday season. So, maybe around mid December,
Right.
we see a lot of properties are withdrawn, not because the seller is no longer interested in selling, but they're just going to take their house off the market during the Christmas, New Year time frame, for a couple of reasons. It could be because they're not really optimistic about getting an offer during the holidays, but also because they just want to enjoy the holidays with their family, and they don't want to have to deal with the constant upkeep of having the home together during the holiday season. If they have kids, your kids are out of school. So now they're trying to juggle having kids at home and having to leave the house a few times a day for showings, or just keeping the house showing ready, right? When your house is on the market, it needs to look like those pictures most of the day. So if you're in the winter market and it's the holidays and more people are in and out of the home, it can just be too hectic. So we see a lot of properties come off the market during the winter break just for that reason, but also because if the seller isn't optimistic about getting an offer, they figure, well, if I take the house off the market, I can pause or freeze those days on market and come back on the market in January, as Abraham said earlier, as a new listing. Will you still see the total days on market in the MLS? Yes, but if you're on those third party websites, you're seeing a new listing. And as we said, as soon as the holidays pass, once those Christmas trees are gone, we start to see a lot of new listings come on the market. So now they're trying to take advantage of that early spring market.
Now, do you have to wait? No, you don't have to wait for these unique times of the year. But if you want to make the most amount of money, the spring market is the time to make the most amount of money. That's usually when we see record sales numbers. That's when we see the most aggressive buyers. If you miss that time period, then you just have to deal with or come to terms with the fact that you're just not going to make as much money in the springtime.
Yes, because a well priced home will sell in any season.
Right. All right. Let's talk about the 3 ways to price your home. So there is quote unquote correctly or at the market value. That means that your properties will probably sit on the market anywhere from 1 to 2 months, right? So this means that buyers know that the property is priced well, but you also have competition that you're dealing with. If you want to sell your property quickly, and that's under a month, then you're going to price it below market value, so slightly below the competition. And when we say market value, we're really talking about the other homes that are just like your property that a buyer could choose. So that means that it's similar conditions, similar location, similar offerings. Now, you can't compare if your property isn't updated, you can't compare your property to an updated property, because a buyer who's looking at your property and it's not updated already has thought to themselves, "Oh, you know what? I'm gonna have to do this, this,
I
and
have to
that."
replace the flooring in here. I have to replace the counters, the cabinets, because oftentimes what we have with sellers is they'll say, well, I have the same model, particularly with townhomes and condos. Well, I have the same model as this person, so I should be able to sell. They got this price, I should get this price. Like, you do have the same model, but this person did a complete bathroom renovation, and this person just installed brand new hardwood floors on the main level. And you're like, yeah, but we have the same square footage.
Square
Not how it
footage
works.
is only one part of the equation.
Mhm.
All right, the last way you can price your property is above the market value. So that's somebody who's testing the market. You're not really concerned about the amount of time it's going to spend on the market, your home is going to spend on the market. For those individuals, going on the market is almost like a recreational activity, right? It's just like, I'm gonna put the
Let's see how it
sign
goes.
and let's just see how it goes. You should have no timeline in mind for somebody who's priced above the market, because you really need somebody who loves your home to see your home and appreciate it.
Mhm.
And unless most properties are really not that different or unique
Mhm.
to cause you to want to quote unquote love the home. Like, there are some properties in city of Alexandria, there are some properties that are in Arlington that have these great views that are one of a kind.
Mhm.
Those individuals have something that's particularly unique,
Yes, but what I always say is you only need one.
right?
So it only takes one buyer to want your property. And in this current market, as far as to talk about these three ways to price your home, this is referring to a traditional market or a balanced market. In the current market, we're seeing most homes, or we will continue to see most homes sell.
That's true. That's true. So that was question number 3. What's the best time to sell? Crystal's going to let us know what is question number 4.
Question number 4, we are going to talk about how to make your home more sellable. So, what can you do to get your home ready, putting your home in order so that you're able to get it on the market? And then, question number 33, we're going to talk about
This is for the buyers.
for our buyers. Tomorrow, we're going to go over the actual residential sales contract. And as I said, that's going to be great for buyers and sellers because everybody involved in the transaction is going to sign that one. So we're going to take a look at just a typical standard sales contract on tomorrow. And we're also going to share with you our Prince William numbers. So we're going to go over the sales number for January of 2023 with you guys tomorrow to open the show, and then we'll get into our buyer and seller questions.
Excellent. Excellent. So get your questions ready. We're going to stay on just a little bit longer to answer any questions you may have about buying a home, selling a home, or investing in real estate. Or maybe you're thinking about relocating to the area. You need some insights about different communities. Let us know those questions down below. I'll also add, if you know someone, maybe a friend, coworker, neighbor who's thinking about jumping into the real estate market, let them know about our show. We go live at 10 a.m. and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Thursday, to answer your questions on air. On air. So you don't have to worry about filling out some form or getting to some type of going to open house and stuff like that. Now, while we get ready for your questions, there is a link in the description to the Perfect Home Questionnaire. Fill out that form and we will schedule a time to meet online via Zoom. If you're on TikTok, that link is located in our bio. Whew.
All
Another
right.
show.
That's it. Another one down. One more one more to go this evening. Well, while we're waiting on your questions, specifically for our people on TikTok, Abraham just posted a video a few days ago of his favorite restaurant, Mike's American Grill, one of the most popular and largest restaurants in the DC metro area. It's in Springfield, Virginia. He posted a video last week of him enjoying his favorite dessert there, which is their bread pudding. And this morning we woke up to some awful news about Mike's. One of Abraham's friends shared with him on Facebook.
Yeah, there was I think a 3-alarm fire at Mike's American Grill. So hopefully they rebuild. but it was I heard that the destruction was pretty intense.
Mhm.
So there wasn't much that was salvageable, from my understanding, because there were several fire trucks.
Yeah, and it was overnight, so thankfully no one was there, we believe,
Right.
so no one was injured. But that's a loss for our community, for the for Fairfax County, and for all of like the Springfield, Alexandria area. We actually are friends with the manager there, and so Abraham will reach out to him. But that was just devastating news to wake up to today. It was big news in our community amongst the Facebook chatter
That's
this morning.
true. That's true. Mike's American Grill is the place you go to do most of your celebrations, because you know that it's going to be consistent.
Consistent,
The
always
service
so
is going to be
good
good. The food is going to be good. You just have to deal with playing Frogger to cross the street
for the parking.
All right. So we have one question on YouTube right now. So get those questions ready for us. So Miss Yale says, I want a home, but I'm in the Army. I consider buying once I'm out. Been watching y'all for 2 years. Oh, excellent. Thank
Oh.
you so much for watching the show.
Thank you.
Excellent. Well, when you get out, when you are ready, let us know. I will say I am I am pro condos. I think that even though some people are not, they don't necessarily make enough money to buy a townhouse or maybe the quote unquote home of their dreams, I think that you have to get into the market because you start the process of building equity. Once you get into the process of building equity, you have like this forced savings account that could then allow you to put a larger down payment on something in the future. So you buy a condo, that condo appreciates, and you start to pay down on that loan. And then maybe 10 years from now, you have a larger down payment that you could use to get into a more substantial property. All right, so Miss Yee says, I want a townhouse or a condo. Excellent. So when you're ready, just let us know. There are definitely a lot of options that are available in the market when it comes to both of those products.
Mm-hmm. Are you currently in Northern Virginia already? I asked because we have a lot of people who watch our YouTube channel who don't live here yet, who are planning either to move here in the future or they previously were stationed here and still like to get information about Northern Virginia.
That is true. What you think about today's show?
What did I think about today's show? You know what? I didn't think so much about today's show as I have been thinking about what you asked last night about us moving the show to 9 on Monday through Thursday. And that will mean us waking up at 5
a.m.
So I have been thinking about, that's what I've been thinking about. Abraham would like us to switch to doing one show. If we switch to doing one show, because the 2 shows a day can be taxing. So if we switch back to one show,
we are switching to one show.
Okay.
It's not
we were split on, I prefer the evening show. He prefers the morning show. Not only does he prefer the morning show, he actually wants to move the morning show up 1 hour to 9 a.m. Which would mean that we'd have to wake up at 5 a.m. We wouldn't even have to. We would have to leave the house at 5 a.m. to be at the gym at 5. So yeah. So anywho, so that's been on my mind since you brought it up yesterday. So I have not been able to think about anything. Oh, look, she's at Belvoir.
Excellent.
Very good. Not far from us. Excellent.
I think that the morning show, there's a couple reasons why I think the morning show works better.
Mm-hmm.
The morning show means that no matter what happens in the afternoon, we have already done our highest priority work, right? Because really we make a lot of our money off of our videos. And so if we get our videos out of the way in the morning, then we don't have to be concerned or stressed at the end of the day, especially because it's about to become the spring season. So we already know that we sell the most houses during the spring season. So that means that this whole operation is going to become much more challenging
as I manage your schedule and try to get your showings in. I understand that. Also, we have to think about our family as well. We have 2 boys. And one of them has extracurricular activities that sometimes require attention in the evening. Our oldest son plays the cello. He's in an orchestra. So we have to go to his performances. We get to go to his performances, and he's trying out for the tennis team next week. So we may get to go to some tennis matches too. So our evenings may be a little more hectic in the spring.
Yep. But so that means that if we knock out our morning stuff, then boom, we have our afternoons. I'm telling you, this is a I think that this is a great strategy.
We'll see. We'll see. I'm gonna sleep on it again. I slept on it last night. I'm gonna sleep on it again
Excellent,
today.
excellent. Well, you have
I'm gonna
one more
sleep.
week to sleep on it because we're going to test out this two shows a day for at least. I mean, do we really need to test this out for another week, or do you think that we should make the decision after this week?
So here's the thing.
What is the thing?
The 2 shows a day is taxing just because it just means longer work days in general. Like the work day starts at 7ish, it ends at 9:30 or 10. um I just really enjoy the evening shows. I feel like I come alive in the evening,
Okay.
and so I think for now we're going to continue the plan to do 2 shows a day next week, and then we'll reevaluate. I know it's taxing. I know it's tiring at times, but I really like the evening shows. And so you're like, no, I want to do one show.
I just don't think that one show is manageable. It's just
2 shows. You don't think 2 shows is manageable?
Yeah, 2 shows is not manageable. Also, I just think that the night show, I think the night show when I'm by myself is okay, but I think that the night show with both of us in here is too stressful, especially on the boys.
Okay, give me more. Explain that to me. I'm sorry.
I just think that the boys we have to change so much of the boys' schedule to do the night show.
We have had to change,
and I don't think that that's really. I think that we're gonna make enough money. With our one show idea that 2 shows would be don't get me wrong, I think that 2 shows would be above and beyond what our competition is doing. At the same time, our children are our children are important.
Obviously.
And so it's not obvious to some people since
since we're on these 2 shows.
Yes, but
okay, very good. We will think about that. And by we, I mean me. I'm going to think about that and see. We have one more comment from Miss May.
Excellent. So Miss May says, I want to live by water, but I know it's more expensive. Yes, water in Northern Virginia is the most expensive location, actually. Now there's a condo in Old Town that has water views, and it's an older development. They have 1-bedroom units, I know, because we showed one of the rentals to a guy who was relocating to the area for the military, and it was a rental. But I do know that those units I think they're under 500,000. But that's
a steal in Northern Virginia.
Yeah, that would give you a 1-bedroom condo with a view of the water. Now you're not going to be able to smell the water, but you will be able to see the water through buildings, right? Miss May says one show is good. See, Miss May is on. I like Miss May. Miss May is my new favorite person on the show.
Wait, sweetheart, I never said that we couldn't do one show. The item of contention is that going to be an evening show or a morning show? We're gonna do one show. The question is just what time of day. But it's fine. The morning show would be easier for me to manage as far as your schedule. I understand that.
I think the morning show.
I just think you get your best crystal in the evening, but that's fine.
I think we could work on getting a better crystal over time. So I don't think that we should knock out the evenings. Yeah. Also, so one thing you all don't know is that our goal is for our kids to join us in our family business, our real estate business. And I think that the 2 shows a day will cause the boys to think that our job is too taxing. And if they think that the job is too taxing, then they might try to become engineers. All right. We have another question on TikTok. Is there any concerns with buying an older home? Is the maintenance that much more? I don't think that so there's the pros of buying an older home is that you're already in an established neighborhood. Because you're in an established neighborhood, you already kind of have an idea of who will live there, what are the benefits, the pros and cons of living in that community. If you buy a newer home, you just don't know how the transition is going to work when that first group of homeowners move out of the property. Now, with older homes, you still have just the mechanical systems. The mechanical systems are going to have their their useful life, and that useful life is just going to ebb and flow,
Yeah.
flow
Well, and
over time.
also the mechanical systems that you mentioned are going to also have those same ebbs and flows in newer homes. So when you say older, that can be the home built in the 70s or 80s. But if you look at something that was built in the early 90s, uh, that roof has a life expectancy.
Right.
That HVAC has a life expectancy. So really, you can have older homes with newer systems, because if a homeowner has been in the property for few years, they may have replaced the roof a few years, recently.
Right.
They may have replaced the HVAC recently. And those are usually the biggest issues are usually going to be HVAC and roof.
Yes, I will say though, older homes are not insulated as well as newer homes.
That's a good
You are not going to get the same insulation value out of a newer home, out of an older home.
And then windows
And
too.
well, the windows, you can replace the windows. I'm
Mhm.
just talking about like the sealing of what they're doing with newer homes, as far as like how well they're sealed, you can't replicate it with an older property. So that is one concern. I am more of I like to be in a better location, to be honest with you, versus having a better home. So location is more important to me. So that's my bias. And they don't have that many new construction properties in great locations.
Mhm.
The new construction properties are usually located where there was land, and usually that land was somewhere where somebody didn't want to be in the first place.
Mhm.
So that's my beef, or that's my bias towards newer properties
Against newer properties. But
against.
what I would say is that
What will you
dealing with
say?
the older home, I think that as long as you have a home inspection and you have the seller take care of whatever issues your concerns are, then I wouldn't be as worried. But also, I always stress the importance of not just what you have the seller do from the home inspection, but keeping in mind the stuff you didn't ask the seller to do.
Right, and just
And,
handling
and you
those
handling those
projects.
things. You have your
Yes.
honey-do list, and you knock that out over time as you own the property. So as long as there's nothing frightening or terrifying on the home inspection that would cause you to walk away,
Right.
then I'm a proponent of older homes. I love them. I actually like them very much because I feel like they have more flair, they're not all cookie cutter, which is what we see a lot of in Northern Virginia. You see just something that's different and unique when you have older homes. So I like older homes myself.
Excellent. Miss May has another question for Miss Ye has another question for us, or another statement. Morning, because I watch YouTube while at work at my desk. Exactly.
You said that yesterday.
Exactly. I hate being right, because it's such a
No,
burden.
I hate you being right.
It's a burden knowing that right, and then knowing that people doubt you, and you have to deal with that conflict of like everybody else think you're wrong, and you're like, I know I'm right.
So
thank you,
Abraham
Miss Ye.
said just last night during our live stream that we should do our show in the mornings because people are going to watch the YouTube video. They're going to watch the live stream while they're at their desk at work. And then here we have Miss Ye confirming Abraham's statement.
It's hard being right, like my oldest son also suffers from this affliction of being right
all the time.
Yes.
It's something about Abraham's. Our oldest son is Abraham II.
Yes.
It's something about Abraham's.
All right, Ms. Ye also says, how much do I need to make to be able to afford an $700,000 home? That's going to depend on how much debt you have, to be honest with you, debt and your income. So yes, income is important, but also how much debt you're managing is going to equally be important. Crystal was telling me about a TikTok video you were watching where a loan officer was saying that a lot of people are being denied loans because
of $1,400 car notes.
Yeah, $1,400 car notes. So some people have these. We have a neighbor.
This is what brought the conversation up.
So I noticed that one of my neighbors has a Bronco,
a brand new Bronco that they just got like a few weeks ago.
And I was like, I've been seeing these Broncos around, and I was like, I wonder how much these things cost. They look cute.
They are really nice. I like them. I actually was thinking of getting one for Abraham II. He turns 16 next year.
Yeah.
And so he told me how much they cost.
And then I looked it up, and it was like $70,000 to $90,000. I was like, what the hell? So then I went online to find out, like, what do you pay a month for a $70,000 to $90,000 car note? And it was like $1,400. I was like, that's insane. That is insane. At least in my mind.
Yes.
Yeah.
In your mind. And also I quickly realized that Abraham II will not be getting a Bronco next year.
Right.
But yeah, so
I love him, but not that much.
I mean, he's a good kid. I like him. $1,400 a month like
Yeah,
them. But oh look, I was going to say, Miss Ye, if you wanted to click the link in the for the Perfect Home Questionnaire, you can you can go ahead and reach out to us, and we can introduce you to a couple of our lenders just to have a preliminary conversation, so you can see if that's going to be within your reach or not.
excellent, excellent. Kevin Reacher, the lender, says co-host rocked today. He's talking about you.
I think he is.
Yes, yes. I
Thank you,
think so. I
Kevin.
think so. I think I did a good job with selecting this one.
You think so?
I
Thank
do.
you very much. Thanks for picking me all those years ago.
My pleasure. My pleasure. I swooped you up off the floor and I saved you from a life of obscurity.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So we have another follow-up question from Crypto Tracker, like better installation, etc. Yeah, so new homes. So this is again a conversation about the difference between old homes and new homes. New homes just have better insulation. They're also going to have more modern floor plans. So we see this in the townhouses. The townhouses sometimes have those funky columns that were in between the living room and the dining room.
Mhm.
For some reason, in the 80s and the 90s, that was
90s, we
in.
saw a lot of
That
that.
was in. Columns were in for some reason. That's not going to be in. You're also going to get a more. Sometimes you have higher ceiling heights as well. So you'll notice that some of the newer townhouses, they're just taller in general. You have newer lighting as
Well,
well.
that goes to townhomes over. If you look at townhomes built in the 80s versus those built in the 90s,
Yeah.
and then compare that to what we're seeing now, it was being built in the 2010s and on, you're going to see that they just get taller.
They get taller
as the decades go by.
Also, newer townhouses, this is specifically for townhouses. Newer townhouses have those rooftop decks right now, which we don't know if people are going to use them, but they're putting them in all of the properties. So you just have these more modern layouts as well. The bathrooms in some of the townhomes look just like the bathrooms from the 80s and 90s. And in other ones, they look like a completely new design. Like you can't even imagine that they fit this bathroom in that location. All right, so he also says 90s homes, 2000 homes, etc. Yes, so it depends on the era. So the different decades will determine like what is in a property. So different. Again, there isn't much you could do with these little boxes. So it's just a box, and you can only do so many configurations. So they try to switch it up to make it easier to determine like what era a property was in. So that's what you're kind of selecting.
And I think the only down for me, negative for me, of the older homes is the size of the bedrooms. I think that what we see now are larger bedrooms, whereas in the past, bedrooms, not just the primary bedroom, but I really mean the guest bedrooms or the additional bedrooms, where those were smaller and they're a little bit larger now.
And for townhouses, I don't see that being the case. I see townhouses still have the same small bedrooms for the guest bedrooms. Because you still,
I guess I'm going based upon our more recent new construction tours, which are mainly single families.
Yes, and they do have some. So they have like the 26-foot and 30-foot wide townhouses. Those things are actually massive compared to traditional townhouses. Those properties have larger bedrooms, but they also come at like you're looking at like a $900,000 to $1.1 million townhouse now, which is just not in the cards for most people. So yes, they are larger, but most people are really going to be getting the $600,000 to $800,000 townhouses, and you're going to have those traditionally small bedrooms as far as townhouses are concerned. All right, no worries. The last statement Crypto Tracker said was sorry, my question took up multiple lines. That is fine. So Miss Ye says I want a rooftop terrace. I know
we're starting to see more and more of them.
I know rooftop terraces, again, I think that they are cool in concept. The sun is just going to be not,
you need blackout curtains.
Yeah,
you need blackout curtains in the bedroom.
Those spaces, I'm going to be curious to see talking to, because we have a couple clients who have purchased rooftop terrace townhouses. I'm going to be super interested in talking to them 10 years from now and asking them, so did you use that space? Like, what did you do that space?
I think it's just like us in our yard. So a lot of townhomes in Northern Virginia have a deck off the main level or off the second level, right? Off the kitchen or the living room. And our deck is off our basement level, off our rec room. And so it's beautiful. It's bigger than all of our neighbors' decks. and it's fantastic. It's a great space for entertaining. We love it so much that we use it once or twice a year.
Right. We don't use it often. We don't go
So
out.
much.
We're
And
not
it's
outside
beautiful.
people.
It's the best when people come over. They're like, oh, this is the best backyard, and it really is. We just don't use it.
Right.
It's beautiful though. It's beautiful.
It is. It is. I mean, we did have our stint when we first moved in where we were out there all the time. We were barbecuing on a regular basis. I had 2 grills going on a regular
We had
basis.
2 grills.
But after a while, you just like, I don't really want to smell like smoke all the time. I don't really want to have to. I don't like bugs. I don't like.
And also because our deck isn't off our kitchen or our living room, our main level, we have to go down the stairs and into the backyard. So that means like carrying raw food, raw chicken through the family room and into the backyard, and then bring all that back upstairs. So it's great for entertaining, but we don't use it as much as you would think we would. And so I wonder if the rooftop terrace is going to be like our large deck.
Yes, because you got to think that the rooftop terrace is actually 2 levels up from the main level. So
I mean, it's off the bedroom primarily, right? Isn't it? It's not off the master bedroom.
No, it's a 4th level.
Oh, like off of like a loft space or off?
Yes, it is. So it is a lofted space. So it's the loft. It's the 4th level, and then one half of that that level is enclosed or heated and cooled, and then the other some segment of it is going to be exposed to the elements.
Oh, yeah. Well, at least you'll get your steps in if you use it regularly.
That's true. That's true.
For also, our Fitbit wearers.
Also, we noticed that in a lot of the Pulte Home doesn't do this. No, Stanley Martin doesn't do this. But a lot of the other new construction builders, they actually put like a little small, not a window unit, but like this small support system, air conditioning system up there because of the heat.
Oh yeah, because that's going to get hot. I mean,
it is going to get hot.
Okay.
That's why I want to ask our clients who purchase them in 10 years, like, okay, great. So you had this for a while. Did you go up there? Like, how did you like it? Because even we see people with decks. Like a lot of people don't use their decks. I mean, we live in a townhouse. In our townhouse community, our townhouse is back towards this square. So there's essentially 4 streets of units that back up to this square. We don't see that many people out on the backyard.
On their decks.
Their decks. Or even in their backyards.
In their backyards either, yeah.
Now that we have high-speed internet, why would you go outside? High-speed internet. Also, we have these wonderful TVs. We have streaming services. We don't have to wait for a show to come on. Like you're so old that when you were watching TV, you had to wait for a show to come on, right? That's a long time, right? Like
that's how old I am. That's how old you are. So old that I used to have to watch the television until the television turned off, as Lenny Williams would say.
Yes.
I'm so old that I know who Lenny Williams is.
That's true. Miss Ye says you can ask them in 3 years if they use their rooftop. Yes,
we'll follow up.
Yes, we are going to follow up because I'm curious to know if these features. So they have the rooftop terrace for townhouses, but there's also in a 2-over-2 condo, the upper level condo usually has a rooftop terrace. So that person has almost a completely exposed portion of their deck, and I'll be curious to see if those individuals use their space as well. We do see people who live in DC use their rooftop decks, but their rooftop decks have a view, right? So they're in the city, so they have that beautiful landscape. And also we see that people who live in the city, the city proper, they usually have more of a community feel, right? So they have more, they go out more, they do things together with their friends and whatnot. All right, so we have another question on TikTok. If you want to live in Arlington, Alexandria area, is $700,000 about the minimum price range? Oh, it depends on what you're looking for. $700,000 will get you into a townhouse. A slightly larger, it's going to be larger than the smaller townhouses that they have, because you can get a small townhouse in Alexandria and Arlington for $700,000, but you could get a single family home in city of Alexandria for $700,000. It's going to be small, outdated, but for a single family home in Arlington, you can't do it. It's not going to be nowhere near that.
I think they have some duets at that price range, but I mean, essentially duets are townhouses. But that's going to be, because I remember we saw some like in it maybe close to that Virginia Square area. But yeah, definitely If you're looking at condos, then of course there's lots of options, but there are going to be townhomes available in either of those places at that price point.
That's correct. That's correct. All right, all right. Keep those questions coming. We will stay on as long as you have them. Mm-mm-mm. Crypto Backer, thank you so much for that question. Also, we have someone joined us, ZYY2600 joined us. Thank you for joining us. Let us know if you have any questions about buying a home, selling a home, or investing in real estate. Okay, Crypto Tracker says, okay, so townhouse is what we'll be looking at. Thank you. My pleasure. My pleasure. Yeah, you shouldn't have a problem with the $700,000 townhouse. You do have to be realistic though. If you're trying to get a 2-car garage townhouse, then you're not going to get it.
Yeah. Or any car garage at that price point. You may not get a garage at all.
Right. So just know that you're still at the quote unquote at the lower end of the townhouse market still.
Mm-hmm. And you said Alexandria. You meant did he say city of? I can't see the ticket. Did he say city of Alexandria?
I assume that he's saying
city
of Alexandria because he said Arlington, Alexandria, and usually when people put those two together,
they mean city of and Arlington. Right. Okay. Because if you're looking at Alexandria, Fairfax County, you can get a 2-car garage with that $700,000.
That's true. That's true. Yep, city of Alexandria. Yep.
Okay, excellent.
Excellent. Yeah. So just let us know if you're ready for us to help you out with that home search. There is a link in the description to the Perfect Home Questionnaire. Fill out that form and we will schedule a time to meet online via Zoom. So that's whether you're buying a home, selling a home, or investing in real estate. For our TikTok viewers, the link is in our bio.
All right. So do we have any other questions or comments? If you have a question or comment, go ahead and put that down in the description or comment section, and we will answer any and all of your real estate questions.
Yep. So we'll wait for this song to end, and then we will play our last call.
Your favorite song?
Yeah, my favorite song to signal that it's the last call for questions. And then I'll go have myself some brunch.
You'll have some brunch. Yes, we'll get on brunch and then get through the rest of the items on today's agenda before we come back for our 8 p.m. show.
All right. So Crypto Tracker says, is this a good time to buy a house, or naturally, is it better to wait for interest rates to go down? Great question. We actually just talked about how real estate agents will always tell you it's a good time to buy a house.
We did say that.
So I do want to let you know that before I give you my advice. Next up is Crypto Tracker. Unless you like to gamble, then you kind of have to deal with the market that you have in front of you. We really don't know if interest rates are going to go down. We also don't know if even if interest rates stay the same, will house prices continue to increase, right? So your affordability is tied to interest rates and home prices. Could you wait? Sure, you could wait, but we've been having prices increase for the last 9 years. I don't know if it's worth the risk. If you can afford something right now, then it just makes more sense just to buy and then just stop thinking about buying a house, right? Just
buy with the current rates. We don't like the whole date the rate thing that people say, but if you buy with the current rates in the future, you could refinance, but we have no way of knowing if home prices are going to continue to go up because everyone thought that home prices would fall when the interest rates went up last year, and we just haven't seen that.
Also, my philosophy around this whole thinking too much about your home buying process is right now. So Crypto Tracker, right now you're thinking about buying a house and you're kind of undecided. So you're kind of, you're looking at listings, you're not looking at listings, you're looking at the housing market. Once you buy a house, you could just go on and move on to the next part of your life.
Stop thinking about it.
You stop thinking about it. Like we had a client, I think it was 2 years ago, where we looked at properties for 9 months. And eventually I told them, I said, based on the properties that y'all are looking at, you all kind of could have lived in a lot of the homes we already looked at. So let's just buy a house and then move on with your life. Yeah. And sure enough, I just saw them at a football game in our community and they're moved on with their life. They just moved on. They purchased a house.
They live there now.
Is it perfect? No, it's not perfect. They made some changes to it. They customize it to their liking, but most houses are not going to be perfect. And so this is something that the book does a good job of saying, is that the right house is out there, right? So every house doesn't have to be quote unquote the right house, but you can make a house the right house. So if you are in a position to afford a house and you can purchase something that will meet your needs, pull the trigger and just move forward.
Mm-hmm.
That's my philosophy. All right, let's get our last call for questions. This is the last call. Well, Cybertracker just almost reset us, but last call for questions. If we have any more questions, we will take them right now, and we will stay on as long as I have water, and I'm 75% full.
You're 75% full.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So Crypto Tracker says, "Thank you. This was helpful. My pleasure. My pleasure."
Excellent.
I'm glad that this was helpful. So again, we have a couple more people watching. What do you all think about the show times? We're thinking about doing just a morning show. Right now, we're going live at 10 a.m. and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Thursday. We're planning, or we're thinking about doing a earlier show. So just either an earlier show or just a night show, right? I'm thinking my vote is for a 9 a.m. show. And that'll be the only show. Crystal would like to do just the 8 p.m. show, and that'd be the only show.
Well, my thing actually is if we switch to mornings only, I would prefer just the 10 a.m. show.
Okay.
But I do see, especially like a day like today where we're going into noon, how that could cut into your day, especially during the spring market.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So let's say, for instance, we do the 9 a.m. show.
We're
if
on
we do
until 11.
Yeah, if we're until 11, then that's fine. So then I could just run out to like a 12 o'clock show and something like that.
Hate when he makes sense.
You don't have to hate. I mean, you're married to me, so I mean, it's better that you have somebody who makes sense than somebody.
I'm kidding. No, I understand where you're coming from.
What's up, Wag the Dog 13? Thanks for joining us. Wag the Dog 13 is here.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards agreeing with you. So
excellent. It usually takes her a couple days to understand that I make sense.
You do make sense all the time.
No, I do. I mean, I'm not saying that. I mean, I know I do make sense all the time. I'm just saying that
just
usually
takes me a couple days.
It takes you a couple days to come on board. You know, because
I'm glad you know me.
Hey, 14 years now.
14 years of marriage, 16 together.
That's true. That's true. We will celebrate 15 years. June 5th. We will celebrate 15 years of marriage. She took all my 30s, half my 20s, and now she's working on my 40s. All right. So we don't have any more questions. As you could tell, we could talk to each other for a while, and that's one of the things that makes our marriage work. So we're going to be back again at 8 p.m. Eastern. Oh wait, let's see. Cybertracker says morning show is great. Evening show may get more people because they're out from work. I agree with you. I agree that the evening show would appeal to more people. I just think that the evening show causes too much conflict in my life. It just causes too much conflict in my life. Also, we have a 12-year-old and 14-year-old boys, and that means that I only have 3 more summers with my 14-year-old son.
And we try to spend a lot of time with our kids. So evenings gives us an opportunity to do things out in the city, to do things just in general. Like we're going to go to see a movie. Next week? Next Tuesday, we're going to see Ant-Man.
So we're going to go see Ant-Man. So now we have Ant-Man we're going to go see, but then we have to run back home.
Yes, we already have it scheduled that we actually have to pick our boys up from school that day, head straight to the movie theater. Be back home by 7 so we can get ready for the 8 p.m. show.
Oh, you know what? While we're talking about the movie theater, which theater are we going to?
We're going to the AMC Theater on Eisenhower.
So AMC Theaters offer on Tuesdays $5 tickets.
$5 tickets for StubHub members, and yeah,
$5 tickets.
Frugal, so.
I don't know if you all have been to the movies lately, but going to the movies is almost like getting engaged. I mean, it's expensive.
It is expensive. And while I do love my kids, I do not $15 per ticket love my kids. So we are going to go see.
We should go on Tuesdays.
We're going on Tuesday on school day.
I don't know if we're ever going to go on another day again.
This is the problem with introducing something to my husband. You see that? This is the problem. I tell him about these cheaper tickets, and now I don't get to go to Friday movies anymore.
Why? I mean, why? I mean, what is the? I mean, because it's just because the day starts with F. I mean, we just call Tuesdays Fridays.
Yeah. So we're gonna go do that. And as I said earlier, our younger son has orchestra commitments throughout the school year. As far as performances, we try to make all of those.
Mhm.
And also, he's trying out for the tennis team on
He's trying out for the
Monday.
tennis team,
So
following
his
his
father's
footsteps.
footsteps.
Yes, yes, yes.
My husband used to play tennis in high school as well. So Abraham II is trying out for the tennis team on next Monday, and I imagine that will mean some meets in the evening. So that could,
Assuming he makes team, because he doesn't know how to play tennis.
yeah. Well, no, they play tennis in PE. He does know he's one of the better players. That he is the best player in his PE class. So they play tennis in PE. But he's trying out for the tennis
Cybertracker
team.
says that the popcorn and soda cost $60. So again, yes. We're a nachos family, so
no, we're gonna be an eat at home family. So make sure you eat before we go. I'm just kidding. He always has.
I like nachos. I like movie nachos for some reason. I just like nachos in general. There was this candy lady in my neighborhood that sold nachos with chili and cheese, and she only sold them. This is how old I am. She only sold them for $1.25.
Oh wow!
Yes, and she loaded up on the chili and the cheese too. That was
not today.
That was an artery clogging dish right there. But when you're young, you have arteries that are
you have young people's arteries.
Young
but
people
guess what?
arteries.
You have 40-year-old arteries now. So.
That's true. That's true. I mean, your arteries are a little bit older than mine.
I just want to say that I am 3 months older than my husband.
She robbed the cradle. So what happened was I had a pacifier in my mouth, and my wife came up and she said, I like that baby there. That's what she said.
Yes, my husband likes to refer to me as a cougar because I am an entire 90 days older than he is. But anywho.
When you have these type of cheeks on you, it's hard for you to pass that up.
Yes.
Excellent. So we don't have any more questions. So we will go live again tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we'll be back again tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tomorrow for our morning crew, we will be covering Prince William County numbers and 2 other questions from our seller and buyer conversation. So join us then. Also, for everybody who's watching right now, let your friends, family members, relatives, anybody who's in the real estate market, who's thinking about getting into the real estate market, know about our show. We would love to introduce ourselves to them. To them. Yes. Through the show, and also answer their questions in real time. Another reason why we do the show is so that you have a place to answer your question immediately without having to go through like a lead capture form or the comment section. The comment section really isn't a good place to go into details about a question, because sometimes there are nuances that need to be delivered with inflection and tone. And sometimes I just need to ramble about an idea, or I need to think about a question and be like, you know what? I think this, but I think that. So yeah, so we will be back. And Cybertracker says, thank you for your time as always. My pleasure. Thank you for watching and making the show much more entertaining. All right. That's it.
We will see you guys on the next video. You have a good one, and we look forward to your questions in the future.